Welcome to our first member spotlight series with Marie-Louise Marshall, and I'm delighted to introduce her to our new series. So, if you'd like to give me a little bit of information about yourself.
Thanks, Patricia, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I'm Marie-Louise Marshall. I have a little enterprise called Humi, hoping to promote being human in the digital world. I set up this enterprise after working for way too long in corporate life, first starting my career in finance and then ending up in pharmaceutical manufacturing. I was a senior leader in a site in Arklow, which was a large manufacturing site by the time I got promoted out of it. And I was promoted, I was head of IT and on the senior leadership team there. And I was promoted to the head office to drive a digital transformation program, working at automating and bringing digital capability to factories throughout the global setup, which was 11 factories corporate
Right.
worldwide. So the reason I kind of decided I wanted to step out was when I was in that role, which went from 2016 to 2022, I was seeing a huge level of uncertainty coming into the workforce. We had senior leaderships. There was a competition between corporates of senior leaders to be the digital, leaders, to be driving digital transformation throughout the world. So even in my company and other companies, there was competitions who could do the best digital transformation projects.
Mm-hmm.
And they're bringing lots of benefits, don't get me wrong. There's lots of good digital initiatives, and with AI and with data-driven decision making, things were changing radically. And lots of people who are not in the senior leadership were there going, oh, I'm seeing great benefit now, but as we automate and more of my job gets eroded, where is my future? So I kind of decided I would step out, and even though I came up through technology, to speak up and advocate for the humans in the future workplace, and to try and work with organizations and leaderships in particular to sort of say, the old world, the old order is changing drastically, changing really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a new order. And how the new order absolutely includes automation and digital transformation. But in the new order, where do the people fit? And to help the leadership define how they're going to evolve the human element and bring their companies to be human-centric companies. So that's a very brief overview of where I am and where I see I'm going.
And so that's why you do what you do. Can I ask just what you stand for within your company? Like, is it the focus solely on the human side, or would you also include the digitization of the company as well?
Well, the two are absolutely interlinked, and the automation, without a doubt, is creating anxiety for people. How many people do you know, like in your little cohort, that turn around and say, Jesus, I hate AI and I don't know what it is, and you know, and
We're all
I'm not going
comers.
to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's loads of them, and I want to be very clear here. It's not an age thing. It's all people. Like, people say to me, "Oh yeah, that's an age thing," and I'm the age thing, so I know it's not an age thing because I'm ready to embrace it. Loads of people I know of my experience and life age are ready to embrace it. So it's but it's happening, and we can't deny it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We have to hope that the governances are going to govern it, to put boundaries and things there. The workplace, without a doubt, is going to be disrupted because of it. The very cheap things to automate will be the routine things. So when you take away a lot of the routine, you then go to what do the people do when the routine is done? They do the extraordinary things, the things that require critical thinking, the things that require problem solving, the things that require innovation.
Mhm.
So so I am screaming for the human part of that. And I really want that leaders to turn around and understand that when you're having the conversation saying, oh yeah, well, I'm going to upskill you. It's not just upskilling to coexist in a sort of passive form with the automation that's happening. It's upskilling so that you can bring your human skills, your innovation, your creativity. So last week I was in an environment where there was a lot of talk about the AI, and there was a lot of talk about AI education, but it
Okay.
was all about skilling with the tools. What I'm saying and what I'm fighting for is that the tools will come. Today, there is massive need to come to terms with the tools. So don't get me wrong, you do need to learn. But there's also, once the tools are embedded, today, everybody's in chaos because there's so much to do and so little time. But as we automate the time, we become more time rich because the drudge will be gone and the routine will be gone. So you will become more time rich. So it's in that time rich. How are you going to be? What human are you going to be in that? Because you will be using some of the AI tools, but then what?
Mhm.
So I'm sort of there trying to talk to leaders and trying to talk to organizations about what is the extra that you're going to do, not just the skills, because you will need to train skills, and that's even nearly a legal requirement at this stage to get people going on AI. But it's that um, when you've automated everything, and I don't want to be scaremongering, but there may not be a 40-hour week for everybody. Or what are they going to evolve into? How are you
Mm.
going to tap into their creativity? And even if you've been in the workplace for an awful long time, you will have somebody will have said to you in the past, I don't pay you to think. And now, as we go forward in an automated world where the robot is doing the no thinking, we're going to turn around to you, oh, I value your opinion and I want you to think, now, what are you contributing? You're now tapping into something that we closed off for many, 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 many years in the workplace. And automatically you're expecting, just like that, people are going to be able to be something that they weren't before.
Mhm.
Expect them to have the trust in you and to, oh, you turn around and say in this appraisal, well, I'm telling you now you're empowered. And the person sitting there going, what the hell? Every time I had an idea before, you slapped me across the back of my head. Um, no, I'm not going to say anything. So it's a new landscape. There are new dialogues to be had. And I'm trying to advocate to help leadership understand that you need to be creating trust relationships, you need to be creating real relationships. That hierarchy that you were able to demand in, those days are gone.
Mhm.
Like you can demand and punish, but you lose your staff very quickly. You
Yeah.
can demand, but people will turn around and say, well, that's really not in my vibe today. Thanks very much. Not happening. So we've got, and you've also got to look at who's demanding. It's possibly a generation that are not fully themselves in touch with the tools. Now, I don't think everybody has to know every tool or learn every tool, but they have to know the impact of the tools.
Mhm.
So senior leadership may not have the time to, you know, learn every tool, but they need to know what is the impact of the tools. And when I'm allowing a new capability be used in my environment, I need to be able to govern it. I need to be able to say what are the boundaries for this. technology. For example, ChatGPT, that's everywhere now. You can't
Yeah.
escape from it. The senior management did not decide that that was coming into their organizations. It was released by it was released by Bing, it was released by Microsoft, it was released by Google. So they have no they had no control on the first people using it in their companies. So while you may not need to use chat gpt, if you're a senior leader, you should be saying, I understand we're using ChatGPT and we're going to put up boundaries, and absolutely there'll never be a strategic decision made by ChatGPT. I understand you're using data to support decision making, but I need to know what the context of that data is and I want to know it. So I need to have critical thinkers around me. I need to have people who can innovate off this data. I need to have, so
Yeah.
it's the senior leadership, everybody needs to know the capabilities of what's coming onto the market and understand. But there needs to be governance in companies. There needs to be communications to say, okay, I understand half the staff are using this. It's giving us great efficiencies in this section and that section and the other section. But here are some non-negotiables. Here are some, whatever, and set boundaries and communicate with your staff. Because if I'm sitting opposite you and you're getting your work done in 2.5 hours a day and I'm still struggling at 8 hours a day because I don't know how to use ChatGPT, or there's a techno stress happening for me.
Yes.
You're laughing and you're having a great time, because you've got loads of time for coffee. I'm
Mhm.
struggling and I'm feeling, oh my God, if anything comes from this, I'm first out the door. So
Yeah.
these conversations need to be had. Visibility and roadmaps need to be given to staff. Sharing, honest communication. These are all things that I'm advocating for humans in this new digital world. So that's what I'm really standing for now.
Okay. And would you face many challenges trying to get into these corporations to get your message across to them?
At first, when I
It's a
was
very
really
unique
start, yeah,
service that
at
you
first when
provide.
I was sorry, at first when I was starting out, I was really having trouble because I was talking about the future of work
Mm.
and the future. And if you go to a senior a senior leader or a board of a company and sort of say, well, I want to talk to you about the future. I want you to start preparing for that future. They're going to say, oh yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Not a problem. But today's budget has been spent on today's problems, not on tomorrow's problems. So, yeah, we'll get back to you on that in 2030 when it's all happened. And, well, they may not be there to get back to you if they don't behave properly, if they don't
Yeah.
start that journey. But I do believe now with as things have emerged, so I've reframed some of my chat from the future workplace to the emerging workplace because it is emerging. Like every week, we've something else emerging. Like last week, it was the Chinese came onto the market and threw a bomb in there, and that was unexpected for the existing platforms. So every week there's something new coming on now. So it's very much an emerging market now, and
Hmm.
that narrative is much more resonant with people. Also, the techno stress that's out there is being more recognized. I think the inequality of knowledge has been recognized. Um, the so I think there is a recognition coming of people understanding that they need to have these conversations, and I think there's also recognizing AI isn't the only thing that's causing this chaos. You know, AI is probably exasperating some of the generational differences in the workplace because there's possibility of the incoming generations more happy to come in with the tools. They're
Hmm.
having different conversations. The tools are allowing them to want to behave differently, to advocate for the work-life balance, to they're saying, well, the big conversation is hybrid work from home. You know, the people who are very, very comfortable with the tools and very relaxed with the tools are more open to say, the tools work for me. I want to be hybrid and I don't agree with this policy. And I think as more and more companies try to force people back into the office, want to try and dictate that we go back to where we were before, these are going to cause people to leave companies. I had a conversation the other night with a young man who is being offered a promotion with a significant pay rise on condition he goes back to the office. Now, his commute is not huge, so we were having a really long conversation, and he said 10, 15 grand wouldn't pay me to go back into the office.
Jesus.
So, people are really considering, will I stay in a company that isn't evolving to my needs of the future, of the emerging workplace, the emerging landscape? The more you AI, there will not be a 40-hour week for absolutely everybody. So we've already tried, during COVID, we already tried models of 4-day weeks. For years there's been 3-day weeks and flexi weeks, etc. So there are lots of models there. There are certain things I absolutely think you should be in the office for. If there are some things you can't not be in the office for if you're customer facing, etc. And they need to come to a place and etc. But if you're doing massive innovation and you want to have real creativity, you absolutely need to bring people together. If you're at that cusp of trying to get originality, bringing people into a room and having it may not happen in the room. It may be the lunch times, it may be the coffee breaks, it may be the chats outside, it may be walking out in the country. But that space you have when you're together, that includes downtime space as well. That really does bring creativity. But if you're at the other end where you're doing implementation and it's routine work and it's, work that doesn't require interaction, I don't think that has to be in the office. If it's work that you can say, well, I'll check in once a week and I come to the office once a month, absolutely, if it works. So there are different profiles, but putting in these sort of blanket rules of saying everybody has to be here is really not conducive. This weekend in the Irish Times, there was an article about the secret work from homes, the arrangements that are being made because they want to retain staff and they have a blanket policy, but yet they're making special arrangements for individuals, and it goes back to, if you're trying to build a trust relationships with people, if you're making secret arrangements, that's not building trust relationships.
No, not at all.
It's this whole new way of operating where we have to create communities, where we have to communicate, where we have to collaborate, where we have to have trust, where we don't fix one thing and cause a problem somewhere else. It's looking at the ecosystem and looking at, serving the purpose as opposed to serving an ego or serving a profit line, but serving the purpose. It's a different landscape.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So I've just got 2 more questions for you. The first one is, how do you differentiate yourself from your competitors? Or do you even have competitors?
I have people talking on the same line, but the most of the people who are competing with me are trying to do the skills gap as opposed to focusing on the human centric and what will the person look like in this future workplace and how will that person feel in this future workplace? How will they be equipped? And, the future workplace, you might be in this future workplace, but you may have decided to step out of your current one. And you maybe, if you've been in a routine job, you may have decided, actually, you know, I've always loved yoga. I've always loved Pilates. I've always loved coaching. I've always loved whatever. I'm going to step out and retrain. And now my future workplace is supporting the people working in that future workplace. So there's there is a time here where we need to, this is why I think the communications are absolutely crucial now, to try and get people to dream of where they want to be in their future workplace. Maybe, here's a radical thought, maybe even turning around to learning and development people and saying to them, you know, give Tricia her learning and development budget, rather than you spending it training her to be something she doesn't want to be. Give it to her. Let her go
True.
and train to be that yoga teacher or to be that coach or the event management person who'll support your business in the future. You know, you could say, I love Tricia. In the future, anytime we're doing an event, I'm going to go to her event management. And you're enabling a future that will really serve her and serve a better outcome. You know,
Yeah.
you may not have to let her go with a redundancy payment. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
No,
now
very
I'm
true.
not scaremongering, because that's, you know, but there will be a shift to, there will be the people who will work for corporates, and then there'll be a lot of work in the next 5 to 10 years supporting that transition to ensure wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And in one way, I see my job now as part of the wellness industry, in sort of saying, have these conversations, throw it out on the table. Once it doesn't look as bleak as it looks because we're not talking about it, we can start working on fitting into that emerging workplace.
I could listen to you all day talking about this, Marie-Louise. I really could. But
Oh, that was my
unfortunately,
alarm going off, saying we talked long enough.
um, so the only final question I better ask is for to do with the Network Ireland, because we are coming live over Network Ireland Wicklow page. And I just want to know why you have joined the network and what value it has brought to your business.
Well, as I sort of say, it's the future is about building relationships, collaborations, finding your tribe in a way. And I can tell you, I I used to network within industry, but within my industry, I didn't go out into the wild world, so I didn't meet other, I'm going to say unlike-minded, but now coming out into Network Ireland and joining a group where there are lots of different voices, I have just been blown away by what the women are doing in Ireland and what's happening at grassroots and how women are lifting each other and supporting each other. I'm I've just found it's a great way. I found it a great way to test. Now, I always say I am a bit mad, you know, like, and I do, you know, no, not everybody will believe what I say, so that's fine. But I do look forward and I do see forward, and I haven't felt insane when I throw things out. People go, oh, even though I can see them thinking, oh, that's a bit radical or that's a bit out there. Everybody has the respect to sort of say, hmm, okay. And then sort of rein me in on things, which I need somebody to rein me in at times, you know, to sort of say, okay, come back. It's too early. It's too this, it's too that. And I've just found some great thinking partners. I've found some great support. I've felt really encouraged. Um, you know, and that is the kind of thing we need to go forward, because if we're going to really innovate and create new models of work, we need the mad ideas to come out and not to be just tossed out. And if you don't take space and time to discuss and time to interact, we won't create a better future of
Mm-hmm.
any sort.
So very true.
You know, and Network Ireland's been super for that.
Oh, it is a fantastic network. Like, I only joined in October, and I've met so many amazing people in it, and they're so welcoming and everything. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Now, if people want to contact you, Marie-Louise, what's the best way to contact you?
Well, going across the streamer there, we can go Marie-Louise Marshall.com. Or I really value my LinkedIn community, so reach out through LinkedIn. And I'm open to networking in anybody. One of the things I do is public speaking about this emerging workplace and landscape. So if anybody wants to engage me as a speaker as well, besides doing consultancy, I'm very open to speaking about the emerging workplace and the need for building community. So reach out on anything. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, but primarily LinkedIn and my website would be the places.
Amazing. Well, I'd just like to thank you for that today, and thank you to everyone who's watched in this afternoon as well.
Thanks a million, Tricia. It was fab talking to you.
Thank you.